I hope you like this look. I hope you like this look. I hope you like this look. What up? What's going on, beauty bees? It's me, Byron Shears, BZB, your gay best friend, and of course, I'm back with another video. As you guys can tell in the title of this video, we are going to be talking about eyeshadow palettes. On today, I'm just going to be talking about eyeshadow palettes and what I deem to be the top 5 palettes that either you should have, or I hope you have, or you can get your hands on. So if you guys are interested in knowing what eyeshadow palettes I deem to be some must-have fabulous palettes, stick around. Alright, beauty bees, let's get directly into it. The first eyeshadow palette that I definitely want to talk about, and I'm going to talk about it first simply because I do believe that this eyeshadow palette is out of production, meaning you can no longer get your hand on this palette. It was a limited edition palette, and it is from Anastasia Beverly Hills. This is the Master Palette by Mario. This palette is so bomb. Can we just please take a moment to gaze at this palette? Now, mind you, I do not use this palette often. As you can see, I barely even touch this palette, but I absolutely love this palette. I'm definitely going to be using this palette more on my channel because fall is coming up, and it's a very fall, to me, a very fall inspired palette. I think the palette is absolutely beautiful. It's gorgeous. It blends out well. The pigmentation is there. And I just personally feel like the sophistication of the colors are on point. Like, you know, if you are really like a working woman, or like a woman in corporate, or a woman of a certain stature, you're definitely gonna love this palette. Like the blue, oh, it's over here, sorry. The blue, the green, the jewel tones, like it's just lovely. Mario and Anastasia really did their thing on this palette. This palette is definitely a must-have. If you have this palette, it's definitely a keeper, and hopefully you guys have this palette because we'll definitely be using this palette here on this channel coming soon. Definitely for fall looks, this is a palette that I am surely going to grab. The second palette I'm definitely going to be talking about, it is an oldie but goodie, and at this point I definitely would call it maybe even perhaps like a cult classic. This is the Morphe brushes. Never mind, my palette is a little dirty, but you get the point. This is the Morphe brushes 35 old palette. And everyone knows about this palette. Everyone knows exactly how this palette looks. However, I feel like this palette is just so divine, honestly. Like, this is a very pretty palette. I love the pigmentation of this palette. I love the warm shades of this palette. Although I don't venture out on this side over here very much, I pretty much stay up in here. I love the browns in this palette. Again, you know, some of my palettes are like, I don't use them. In fact, I do use them. I just don't use them as often. I have an array of eyeshadows. I have a lot of eyeshadows, those that I own, those that I absolutely love, and I gravitate towards them. So very rarely do I use a single palette for like one look, unless I'm just definitely trying that palette out and I want to pretty much gauge the performance of that palette. You'll see me use one palette by itself. More than likely, I'm grabbing eyeshadows from all over the place. Some loose, some depotted, some, you know, in palettes. In this video, I'm just talking about the palettes that I love. And this is definitely one. I think for $22, I do believe, like $22.99, something like that, you can get this palette. There's also discount codes from other YouTubers, beauty influencers, beauty gurus that you can use at Morphe so that you can get money off. So you can look those up on your own. But however, this palette is definitely one to grab, and I'm definitely going to be using this palette and gravitating towards this palette for the fall months. So if you don't have this palette and you want to keep up with some of the makeup tutorials that I'm going to be doing here on this channel, you definitely want to grab it. And if you own this palette and you haven't really touched it, you might want to pull it out because we're going to have some fun with this baby. For sure. The third palette that I'm going to be talking about is one that I have completely fallen in love with. I wasn't really sure if I was going to fall in love with this palette. I knew that I was going to like this palette. I wasn't really sure, you know, how it was going to really incorporate itself into my makeup looks or my makeup routines. And I must admit that the Nubian 1 palette from Juvia's Place, this palette is 100% worth every cent. I absolutely love this palette. I love the colors. I love the color choices. If you're the type of person and you don't wear a lot of eyeshadow, this is the palette for you. If you are the type of person who is minimal with your eyeshadows, this palette is for you. If you are the type of person that do not gravitate towards color, but you like to stay warm, you like to stay neutral, and you like to stay minimal in your look, but still gorgeous, but still very effective, this palette is for you. I absolutely love this palette. I've had this palette for quite some time now. I've had this palette for about, let's say about 3 months, like a little over 2 months. And every single look that I have ever done on myself or anyone else, since I've had this palette, I have reached for this palette. I have gravitated towards this palette. Everything about this palette I absolutely love. If I could change anything about this palette, I would change the fact that it doesn't have names. That's it. Just because I absolutely love palettes that have names. But that's it. Formula, bomb. Blendability, bomb. Color choices, bomb. Everything about this palette is a must. It's small, it's travel friendly, and the company is black owned, black operated. Everything about this palette is the bomb, and it's available right now. So you can still purchase this palette. It is a permanent palette from my understanding. It is not a limited edition palette, so you'll always be able to purchase this palette. And I know that once I use this palette up, like once this palette becomes used and abused, I would definitely, hands down, be purchasing another one. While we're still on Juvia's Place, let's keep the party going. And the second palette that I absolutely love from them, I didn't know that I was going to fall in love with this palette as much as I have fallen in love with this palette, but it would definitely be the Magic palette. So the Juvia's Place Magic palette is the bomb. If you do not have this palette, I'm not sure if this palette is limited edition or not. I'm not really sure about that. I don't think it is. Is it? I don't think it is. But I will say that the Magic palette from Juvia's Place is the bomb. I love this palette. I love the performance of this palette, and I love the pops of colors that are in this palette. If you pair the Nubian 1 with this palette, you can get so many looks pairing the Nubian 1 with the Magic palette. I love the gold in this palette right here. I love the gold in this palette. I did a look with this palette in my last video in Bodak Yellow. You guys absolutely love that video. Thank you so much for showing that video so much love so quickly. That was like the first video that went to 100 so quickly. It kind of fell off a little bit after 100, no shade, but it went to 100 so quickly. Thank you all so much. And this was the yellow that I used. It's more of like a yellow based gold, but because I put a yellow base underneath it, it just pulled out so much more of that yellow, and it gave it like a reflective look. I use that. This deep purple is absolutely gorgeous. These blues and teals, some of these cool tones, I can't wait to use these again, like I said, in the fall. But this palette is the bomb. I absolutely love it. I love the pan size. Koji, this color right here, Koji is the bomb. Like, this eyeshadow palette is literally everything. And if you do not have this palette, I would suggest that you get this palette. If you guys want to follow along with me on any of my makeup looks, I definitely would pick this palette up. Juvia's Place Magic palette is just that, magic. I've only used this palette once on camera, once off camera. So I've only used this palette twice, but I have fallen in love with this palette. I absolutely love this girl. She is a Florida girl, and if you guessed it, it is the Jaclyn Hill palette. Girl. This palette is so good, so versatile. This is just an absolute great palette. Now, if you are the type of person that do not like a lot of color, but you do like it just a little bit every once in a while, this is your palette. If you're the type of person that you want pigmented shadows for a great price that blend out, this is your palette. If you want a palette where you can pretty much just grab and go, use it for any and every look that you can possibly think of, this is your palette. If you're the type of person that you do not want to have a whole bunch of different eyeshadow palettes, that you just kind of want one and you just want to use that one until you can't use it anymore, this is your palette. Jaclyn Hill did her thing with this palette. Like, I'm not bigging her up just because I like Jaclyn. I'm not bigging this palette up just because I like Morphe. I paid my money for this palette. I definitely will buy this palette again. This palette is the bomb. So if you are someone and you are in desperate need of eyeshadows and you don't want to be purchasing eyeshadows all over the place, you don't want to spend a whole bunch of money on eyeshadows because you don't wear them that often, maybe you just wear eyeshadows to work, or you wear them to church, or you wear them out when you go out with your girlfriends or your husband or your boyfriend every once in a while, this is definitely going to be the palette for you, okay? So with shipping, I'm in Florida. This palette came from California. With shipping, this palette cost me $42. You get 35 colors. So the breakdown to that is about $1.30 per color. Girl, you are not, I repeat, you are not going to be able to find an eyeshadow for $1.30 per color that is going to be this pretty, this pigmented, and for the color story to be this fluent. This color story is perfect for every single person I can even think of. From the fair skin all the way down to the deeper skins. If you want these colors to pop extremely, extremely well on the eye, all you have to do is pair them with like a cream shadow base and you will have full pigmentation. I absolutely love this palette. I love Jaclyn. I love Morphe. I think this is a wonderful palette. I think the price point, the presentation, everything about this palette is bomb. If I could change anything about this palette, the only thing I would change about this palette is putting the names actually on the palette itself. I have the card somewhere around here where I actually received the card later because I did send an email into the company stating that I did not get a name card with my eyeshadows, and they were so gracious to send that out to me in a very timely fashion. So I received my eyeshadow palette and I received the name card maybe about 2.5 weeks later. That's the only thing that I would change about this palette, is actually having a name card like on the palette. Maybe somewhere on the back, or even putting the names of the shadows right underneath the shadows. That's the only thing I would change. Everything else about this palette I absolutely love. I think this palette is bomb. And when this palette restocks, if I were you, if I do not have this palette, I would jump on this palette. It's definitely, definitely worth it, for real. So that's all I have for you guys today, Beauty Bees. that's it. Those are my top 5 eyeshadow palettes. Of course, I do own some other eyeshadow palettes. I absolutely love all the palettes that I have. Some I love more than others. However, I don't hate any of my palettes. If you guys seen, there's definitely a pattern here on my channel. I do not talk about things that I don't like. I do not believe in product bashing. I don't really do reviews on my channel simply because I only talk about things that I absolutely love. I like to give my energy and my attention to things and people and places that I love opposed to things that I don't love. So if you guys are looking for reviews, you can definitely check out some other channels. I'm not going to link any of them down. It seems like these days everybody are like rushing to do reviews. I'm not here to do reviews. I'm only here to talk about things that I absolutely love. So, you know, these are just some palettes that I absolutely love. And if you want to follow along with some of the makeup looks that I do here on my channel, these are some palettes that you might want to be able to get your hands on, just because it'll make it that much easier to follow along with me. If you like this video or any videos like this, make sure you give me a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed to my channel, what are you waiting on? Please join the Beehive. We're growing by the day. I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful for all the love and the support that I have been receiving here on my channel. You guys have absolutely no idea how that makes me feel. I definitely want to keep grinding, keep growing, keep going, and put out better content for you guys. If you're not subscribed to my channel already, please hit the subscribe button down below. Next to it, a bell will appear. Click that bell, a large box will show up. In that large box, you will see a small box. Click that small box, and then you will see a button that says done. It's a blue button that'll appear. It says done. So click that button. If you follow these steps, that'll allow for you to get every single notification on all the videos that I upload here on YouTube. Without doing that, you might get a notification, you might not. So if you want to make sure that you get notified every time that I upload a video here on YouTube, follow those small steps. If you love my content, if you love what I'm doing here on my channel, make sure that you guys give me a big thumbs up. If you have any of the eyeshadows that I talked about today, if you love them, please leave down in the description bar why you love these eyeshadows. I absolutely love every palette that I made mention today. I love them. I use them. I'm going to use them more and more on my channel. So if you want to follow along, make sure you get those palettes. And if you guys like my look and you want me to record a look like this is really, really soft. It was easy, it's fun, it's flirty. My eyelashes are from Jamal Buster. These are Daddy's Little Girl. And my brows are Benefit. And yeah, it's just a clean, quick, simple look, nothing major. So I'm not gonna hold you up any longer. Thank you all so much for being a Beauty Bee. I thoroughly appreciate you. And that's it. I'm gonna go. I love you all. And as I always say, and I always will say, love and light, and most of all, be beautiful. Until next time.